You remember the days when you would actually, Girls Gone Wild. You would call the phone number. Jay would call the phone number.
I would,
and it would be mailed to his house like a man.
Yes,
like an adult.
And I waited 6 to 8 weeks.
That's right.
I let the anticipation build.
That's right.
And then as soon as I got it, they released 4 more of them.
Exactly.
And I was back on the goddamn phone. Welcome to A Cast with No Name. We're your hosts. I'm Jay.
And I'm Matt.
This is episode 39. This episode, we will be discussing the new Scott Cooper film, The Pale Blue Eye, starring Christian Bale and Harry Melling, which is also currently found on Netflix, and probably will be because it's the Netflix original. But first, don't forget to visit our website, acastwithnoname.com, where you can listen to all past episodes, comment on episodes, and write to our email, all that good stuff. So, The Pale Blue Eye was released 4 days ago.
On Netflix. I think they released it in theaters.
Oh, did
a
they?
select amount of theaters.
Oh, yeah.
Because I saw on YouTube people were reviewing it like 3 weeks ago, so I tried to avoid it because I knew I was going to watch it and I didn't want to know what anybody thought. Yeah.
Must have been something that Netflix felt like had some kind of
award season
potential that they could release. But if you're unaware and you haven't seen it yet, we'll do a little spoiler-free first impressions, but quick kind of, I guess, not synopsis, but what the movie's about. A world-weary detective is hired to investigate the murder of a West Point cadet. Stymied by the cadet's code of silence, he enlists one of their own to help unravel the case, a young man the world would come to know as Edgar Allan Poe. So
yeah, the first thing. So I watched this with Nicole. You know what she asked me?
Mm-hmm. What?
Is this a true story?
Yeah.
I was like, I don't think so.
No.
Yeah, I don't think this actually happened.
No, it's actually based on a book that was written in 2003.
Yeah, I remember hearing about it. I just never read it.
Yeah, which the author's name escapes me because I don't read books. So
I think it was a lady, right? I think a lady wrote it.
I think a man wrote it.
Oh, wow.
Louis Bayard.
What? Who?
Louis Bayard.
Shit.
Louis. Don't know. There's no picture. So I'm guessing Louis.
I think you're right.
Male.
I was way off.
Yeah, that's all right.
Yeah.
It's not right. Tomato. It doesn't matter. It's all right.
Yeah.
So yeah, you brought this up. You wanted to watch it. Is this the first? This isn't the first Scott Cooper movie.
No, I like Scott Cooper a lot.
Okay.
His movies are normally pretty good.
He's done Crazy Heart.
Yeah.
Black Mass.
Yep. Out of the Furnace.
Antlers.
Yeah, that was his foray into horror. Yeah. And then he did Hostels, which is a really good movie.
Hostels.
Yeah.
So this is actually my first Scott Cooper movie.
Oh, okay.
I've not seen any of the other ones. But yeah, I would say first impressions for me.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the movie I think looks good.
Yeah.
They do a good job contrasting like shadows and doing all that stuff. It looks like a real movie.
Mm-hmm.
The color slightly desaturated, which kind of sets the mood and is very good with the environment, and everyone just feels constantly cold.
Yeah.
Which is it's fun, but it's not so desaturated that you get into Sleepy Hollow territory. There's instances where they're talking by candlelight, and that shows a lot of warm colors and stuff like that. With skin tones. I mean, cinematically and editing-wise, it looks, I think, fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
The acting, Christian Bale's great, as always.
Mm-hmm.
Henry Melling, who plays Poe, who also played... what's his nut in Harry Potter? Dudley in Harry Potter. He was hit or miss for me. Like, I liked some of his performance. I liked his accent, kind of threw me off.
Is that what I was going to bring this up. Is that what you were expecting Poe to sound like?
No. And I was like, why is he sounding like he's half English? And I get Harry Melling is from London, and I don't know if his accent's just not that good, and he can't do an American accent that well, or if it's just he's sitting right next to Christian Bale and who else? I mean, like half the people in
Toby
the movie.
Jones.
Yeah, Toby Jones, Timothy Spall, all these guys that are just...
They're all English.
All English, can all do amazing American accents, and then right next to him. So.
Well, he sounded like he was like from the Florida panhandle.
A little bit.
A little bit. I was looking up where he was from. He was born in Boston. His family abandoned him when he was 1, and then he grew up in Virginia. So is that what people from Virginia sound like?
I don't know. I was feeling Kentucky almost when he would speak, but it would go in and out of it to where it was almost... And I don't know if it was a choice that he made to try and sound lyrical when he spoke, since he was a poet. But it didn't work for me. I mean, it didn't take me completely out of the movie, but it was enough to where...
You noticed it.
I noticed it. Gillian Anderson, I didn't even recognize her.
I know.
Until
crazy?
The end. She was
Scully,
great.
right?
Yeah, Scully from X-Files.
Yeah.
And I mean, she doesn't have a major role, but when she's in it, she's blended. You have no idea. But she did a great job. Story and pacing. Story overall, I felt was okay. It was a bit long, but kept me engaged. The ending, I feel like, was tacked on a little bit, but it fit. It didn't ruin anything else about the movie. It fit within the rest of the movie, I guess. But it did feel a little bit long. So I would say if you're into like moody mysteries or especially some period pieces to where you're just kind of in a secluded location, or if you just kind of like whodunits or anything like that, then yeah, I'd recommend it. If you're not into moody mysteries or anything like that, you can skip it.
Yeah,
I think. But if you like mysteries, no, it's decent.
Yeah. Yeah, I would agree. I kind of came out of it like, solid C+, B minus. You know, it's probably my second. If I were to rank Scott Cooper movies, this is my second to worst. So Aliens is my least. Then I would put this right after that. But still, I thought it was pretty solid. Normally, when I'm watching detective stories like this, I wanted to feel like I'm part of uncovering all the clues and the procedural piece of it, and I thought it was kind of lacking in that. It focused more on the relationship between Landor and Poe, which is fine. I mean, mainly the movie was basically just a vehicle for Harry Melling and his Poe performance. So, and I am glad though it didn't end where I thought it was going to end. And then it did like you said, it tacked on, and you said it felt tacked on. I agree with you, but I'm glad they tacked it on, because if it would have ended the way that...
Sure, it would have left quite a bit of things in the movie that were in there, because I was wondering if they were going to address those things.
Yes.
And they did it at the very end, but it didn't... And I guess when I say tacked on, it didn't feel like it made sense with... Like, it felt like they just, we got to explain this stuff. Let's film this scene really quick, and then that'll wrap everything up. But
yeah. Because... without spoiling anything, when it ended the way it did, I was thinking, like, is this organic enough to make the story make sense, or are they just doing it to give we gotcha, we gotcha.
Yeah, and I feel like it was more of a the gotcha kind of moment, but it wasn't enough to where I think it ruined it, because I think it was enough to where if you watch it a second time, it'll give you a different perspective. Knowing what you know, you would probably find some enjoyment on a rewatch, just because you could change your point of view a little bit as far as what characters are experiencing throughout the film.
Right.
However, I think it did leave some things kind of up in the air a little bit, which I can get into when we get into spoilers. But yeah, I agree. It felt, for me, it felt slightly tacked on, but yeah, it needed to be in there, because it needed to explain several shots and scenes that the movie had already done.
Yeah, because there was several like motivations or plot points that they had to fill in, that they kind of left up in the air. They didn't explain fully. So, but overall, I thought it looked great, like you said. Why would you want to live back in those days? Everything seemed so
cold,
lifeless, and full of sorrow, and
such a pain in the ass.
No wonder like poetry and Books were great back then because they had nothing else to do.
Yeah, there's a building in the movie, the Ice House, that
Yeah.
I almost was going to pause it
Yeah.
and look up how the hell did they make ice.
How did they
it's
make
like
ice?
one of the. It's like I mean, half the time they'd probably drag it from mountains and
Yeah.
stuff. They wouldn't make it. They would just
Yeah.
bring it down. And but how would they store it long term? Like shit's leaking all over the place. Like
Yeah.
such a pain in the ass.
Have you ever seen A Million Ways to Die in the West?
No.
Well, there's a scene where they get ice into the town, and everyone's like huddled on the street. They're bringing ice in, so there's like a scene of them bringing ice in, and of course it's a comedy. So the why do they gotta make it so big? It's like because it'll melt right away if they chip it all away. So it's got to come in these giant ton blocks, and of course when they're transporting it into the store, like it gets cut and someone gets crushed to death, for comedic effect. But I immediately thought of that when we were going in the ice house, and they were just giant pieces of ice, and but I mean, it looked like you said devoid of color, and it was just dour. So I mean, the mood was good for a mystery, and the performances were great. Like I said, I think everyone was English. Every single actor. I don't know if that was a deal.
Yeah, I don't know.
With Scott Cooper,
I said it stayed away from Sleepy Hollow, but I was getting a lot of Sleepy Hollow
vibes.
Just secluded area, mystery. Not this isn't a spoiler. Some stuff that maybe has to do with the occult.
Yeah,
and
just not as wacky.
Yeah, just not as wacky or
Tim Burton-y. Yeah.
So
I would still recommend it. I mean, if you got some time to kill. And
if you like mysteries, I think it's good. If I mean, it's not. I mean, I guess it's a slow burn a little bit. Yeah. So,
like, if you can only tolerate like Seven or Silence of the Lambs, if you're into a mystery, like it's not. This movie isn't paced like that.
Yeah.
So, just be forewarned. You have to have like some patience.
Yeah.
In viewing something.
Yep. And but the acting's good. The setting, the production value is great. The only there's a couple of shots, like the green screen felt kind of.
Yeah.
But other than that, I mean, the set design's good. It feels like it's. The
costumes are great.
A real world. Yeah, costumes are good.
Yeah, costumes are pretty sweet.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, let's get into spoilers.
Sure.
So, you had mentioned something. It's more about the relationship between Poe and Lander.
Yeah.
That was the thing that I feel like could have been better and more emphasis on, to where I didn't buy their. I think they were trying to do as like a mentor-mentee relationship.
Yeah.
I didn't have that sense of connection. Maybe it's because I don't know. Maybe I would have to rewatch, but I didn't feel like there was a significant moment to where that would make Christian Bale's character, Lander, notice Poe.
Like latch onto him?
Like latch onto him, because Poe kind of shows up kind of like a weirdo, and then he's off like a fart in the wind, to where the way that interaction happened would make me think, you're a suspect.
Right.
Kind of a thing. But granted, obviously, because Lander did the killings...
Yeah.
They're like, I feel like that interaction it didn't warrant for a relationship to start. So I feel like their meetup, their meet cute could have been a little bit better. And I feel like if they would have focused on the relationship a little bit more and had that maybe parallel to where he's having flashbacks with his daughter, to where he's kind of being that father figure to Poe. I feel like it would have made a couple of scenes hit harder, especially the one when he's questioning Poe. Like, you didn't tell me you knew Fry. Like, and he seemed upset about that. And I'm like, but why are you upset about that?
Why are you upset about it?
You know he's not the one that did it, unless they were more adamant to where the head of the school wanted to arrest Poe for the murders, and he's trying to cover up for him.
Because he likes Poe.
Because he likes Poe, which is the reason, more than likely. But it would have made that scene make more sense on a rewatch, but also in retrospect. But also, it would have given, I feel like, a more of a 1-2 punch at the end, when Poe approaches Lander at the end, explaining that, I know this is what happened. You were the one that actually did it. Because it could have, Christian Bale would, or Landor's character, or Landor, would have been more upset that he lost that faith from his childlike significant other, similar to his own daughter. It would have made that, I feel like, more emotional and in a little bit more heartbreak from Poe's standpoint, to where someone he looked up to was the one that actually did it, even though he let him go at the end.
Yeah, I would have to watch it again to kind of understand why he chose Poe. Was it because he thought Poe was so smart and he wanted to be found out, or did he think that Poe wouldn't have figured it out because he wanted to get away with it? I don't think they explored that very well. I have no idea.
Yeah, and the thing that I recollect when they first meet is Poe goes up to him and says, "Oh, you want to speak with so-and-so about this."
Yeah.
Because they know him or something like that. You're like, "You want to look into so-and-so." And then he's like,
That's right.
he leaves. But it was...
What do you think?
What do I think?
Why did he pick Poe? Was it just happenstance? He was just weird?
The script needed him to. That's the thing. Like, there wasn't enough... There wasn't anything there for it to make sense for me that he would latch onto Poe, especially if... Because he liked Poe, and after he spoke with him at the bar, you could tell that they had some kind of connection at that point. So I don't think it was because, I don't think he's going to figure it out. But if you wanted, like, why?
Yeah.
Why did he bring him on, especially if he was the murderer?
You just liked his company? He reminded you of somebody?
Yeah, like, there wasn't a good enough reason, I feel like. Especially unless he...
I think they could have dove into that a little bit more.
Unless he wanted to be found out. And was there a line in there... Maybe I'm getting movies mixed up. It might be, I want to say
he's thinking about Obi-Wan right now.
No, I'm thinking about Glass Onion. I don't know if it's from that movie or if it's from to where another mystery, or maybe it was from See How They Run. We've seen like so many mysteries.
We have, yeah. Great movie, by the way.
Yeah,
recommend See How They Run.
There's a line I want to say that if you leave someone alone long enough, they'll interrogate themselves.
That was in here.
Okay, that was in here.
Yeah, if you let someone, because I think Poe asked him why didn't you say anything? And like if you stare intently or something, they'll interrogate themselves.
Yeah. So they had that line in there. So maybe he picked him because he felt guilty and subconsciously he wanted to be found out, which I guess in a way kind of alludes to a Telltale Heart, where the guy's guilt overcomes him to where he forcibly rips off the floorboards to be found out by the police that he murdered whatever in the Edgar Allan Poe story. But
so since this is spoiler, by the way, Landor is the killer, but what did they explain fully how if he knew that Toby Jones is the Marquis.
Yeah.
If he knew that his family was studying the occult and sacrifices and all, did he know that?
He did not know that.
All right.
So, because at the end when Poe is talking with Landor, he's like, your whole thing was... Because he killed Cadet Fry, and at the beginning of the movie, you see him washing his hands, washing the murder weapon, and then they come to him and say, you're requested at West Point for questioning. Right. And he's sitting there, which on a rewatch, it would be him thinking, shit, they know I did it, or someone saw me.
Right.
And to where it wasn't the case, it was they think it's a suicide. They're calling him because someone cut out his heart.
That's right.
And it was just a coincidence that because the Marcus kids, Leah and Cadet Artemis, didn't have it in them to kill somebody. So since they didn't have it in them to kill somebody, it just happened. Oh, someone died. Hey, now we can do. It was just like by sheer coincidence.
And that was so that they could fix her epilepsy.
Yeah,
is that what it was? All right, is that what it is? Epilepsy. She's epileptic. Words are hard.
Yeah, which, as we all know, to cure epilepsy, you
drink the blood of
do a demon circle, and
that's right.
Yeah,
That must have been a
as
thing.
one does.
And then you have weird old men like in the woods that can explain the occult to you.
Mm-hmm.
Like
Just living in the woods.
You know.
The
What'd you think of that? I thought that was so random. It's like we need to get Robert Duvall in here somehow.
I thought it was fine.
Well, I'm not gonna complain. I
feel like it's a role he needed to keep his SAG card or something.
Is that what it was?
He's like, my insurance is up.
Yeah.
Medicaid sucks. I need.
He's old, man. He's like, hold on. I'm going to guess.
Which I thought was like a nice little role for him. I mean, he did a good job.
But I feel like he hasn't aged in 10 years.
Yeah,
I feel like he still looks the same.
Yeah. I feel like he looks the same since Lonesome Dove, which they did in the late 80s.
He hasn't aged in 40 years.
Yeah.
He's 92. He turned 92 4 days ago.
Yeah. Which, if you
Atta
want to
boy.
see Robert Duvall say a bunch of French words, Leclerc, like flawlessly.
I know. Yeah.
Watch that. I mean, it was very,
Yeah.
I guess, satisfying or soothing. Like just hearing him speak those words
Yeah.
for some reason, I was just like, that sounds really good.
Well, it's the only role he had.
How he can enunciate is amazing. If I was in that role, I'd be like, oh,
Le Big Mac, Royale with cheese.
The floppy. But yeah, I feel like their relationship, it didn't, and I don't know if it explains better in the book or whatever. Don't know, don't care, because this is a movie. But that I feel like is the one thing I think I would have changed, is maybe concentrate on their relationship a little bit more.
Yeah.
And maybe it would have taken some of the mystery out, but maybe it could have been nice of him teaching Poe how to investigate something.
Right. They did that a little bit when Poe was in there with that scrap, and he was like, "Oh, obviously he was trying to deduce what the note said," and then Landor was schooling him like, "No, it could be any number of things." You kind of just, and I think that was it. Yeah. The rest of it, there was no other.
Yeah. Then it was like him trying
on.
to court Leah Marquis.
Getting vagina struck instantly.
Yeah, and I'm like,
yeah, what?
Like that felt kind of added. I feel like they could have. It's a little over 2 hours. I feel like they could have cut some stuff out.
Do you think they needed to add that?
I don't know. Maybe they needed a reason for. And again, since this is based on a book, maybe it's more flushed out.
It might be
at that point.
It might be. I guess you would need a reason to introduce her because of the whole reason why they're doing that. But I mean, did you need to introduce her as like the Poe's love interest? I don't know.
Maybe just to get him to be upset the fact that she died because of Landor's doing or whatever, and because he's like, oh, she wouldn't have killed me. I'm like, I don't know, man. I didn't get that vibe when you were like half unconscious, and they're like, oh no, it'll be over here in a second, and I'm like, what's the final? I would have been like, well, what's the final thing of your little prayer circle here before you tell me just to chillax a little bit? I don't.
Yeah.
But again, something was probably explored more in the book, but I felt like could have been either simplified or changed in a way, because I feel like the relationship between Poe and Landor was supposed to be the most important relationship in this, next to Landor and his daughter.
And it was lacking a little bit.
Yeah, and it just felt lacking.
Yeah, I agree with you. Yeah. It just wasn't there. It wasn't all the way there. Yeah. I didn't think the procedural stuff was all that impressive. Like the revelations, like the clues, like on like a movie like Seven or Silence of the Lambs, when they come across a clue, and it feels like they were just revealed. There was no build up to the revelation. It was just, oh, here we go.
Yeah.
Oh, here's the next thing. Oh, here's the next thing.
And I wonder if that's it. And I wonder if that's just because how they did it, since it was at the very end, and maybe I get what you're saying, and I don't know. Part of me, for me, it was I was still trying to catch up to where I'm like, oh wait a minute, he killed them.
Okay.
And I'm like, well, why'd you why did he kill him? And he's like explaining why he killed him. At the same time, they're revealing other stuff. So it's like you're piecing like I think there's too many things that you were probably trying to draw logical lines to as they were explaining
it.
To where that portion didn't feel organic. To where
did you think the revelation that his daughter was raped by the three guys that died was? I felt that was kind of just thrown in there, like as a reason, like okay, this would drive someone to murder, but you never really had a clue that these guys were. Like, I don't know, like the cadets that they were. I mean, yeah, he had some cadets that were like bullies, but not enough to the point where like Jesus,
let's run a train on a chick. Actually and not to make myself seem intelligent, but when they were questioning the cadets, there's one cadet, Stoddard, the one who said he didn't feel well. I didn't take it as, oh, he must have raped the guy's daughter, but I took it as he's involved.
Okay.
He's like, oh, I'm sorry, I just don't feel well. And like that was the only line that he really had, and then he was off and you never really saw him again. But I was like, he had something to do with it, I feel like. Because of whatever guilt, but it was a mix between a little bit of guilt but more of fear for his own, because I think he understood what was going on. Possibly, or who knows, maybe it was just a coincidence.
Well, now that I'm thinking about it, I don't think they could introduce that any other way, because if they foreshadowed, like, I don't know, rape, like a rape,
then you immediately start thinking,
connect it with Christian Bale's daughter.
Yeah,
I'll kind of give it away.
And that's the thing, to where I was trying to figure out who this story is about, and because it starts off on Lander, and then it kind of shifts over to Poe when he's like dating the girl and stuff like that, to where it kind of focuses more on him, which I don't have a problem with, but I think if they beefed up that relationship a little bit better, it would have been easier to shift that focus over to the other side, because then you could have introduced that concept to where maybe Poe finds out further down the movie that, oh, his daughter didn't actually run away. She was raped or something, but I don't think it was common knowledge either.
Right.
So I mean, it's tough, but
kind of have like two parallel mysteries being solved.
Something to where then he starts using the that would give Poe an opportunity to start using the tools and the resources that Landor taught him about investigation, right. To where it would kind of shift the mystery a little bit. But maybe it would completely change the movie and remove that whole reveal thing at the end.
Yeah, because the only tie that he had for that revelation was the handwriting, which is kind of cheap, but it's been done before. But again, it doesn't ruin the movie at all. But
no. But I feel like
I did not expect Poe to sound like that. I still can't get over it. Yeah, I thought he was going to be like, like fucking Igor.
Park the car in the Harvard, yeah.
Orlando. Hey, master. Sounds like a Southern gentleman.
Well, he's a writer, so I would have immediately expected nerd. To where, like, you see the pictures of him, he just sounds like he would sound something like, I love you.
Can I follow you to the investigation? Please?
Please?
So, yeah, a little bit more work on the voice, I think he would have been there.
Yeah.
Sound a little bit more nasally, something coming from the back of it.
Obviously the hair. I see that pretty blonde girl touch my pee-pee, and then she fucking swallowed around on the floor. Just freaked me out. Lander.
Turn this into a comedy.
Yeah.
That'd be good. Landers, he touched my pee-pee. I love her.
Don't do anything bad to her, please. She said she'd do it again in 2 years. Just leave me alone. You're not my real dad.
In 2 years. Oh, man. Yeah. But other than that, I thought Harry, what's his name? Harry Melling. I thought he was good.
Yeah, and I like him and stuff. I thought
From
he was
Dudley to this. I mean, holy
Yeah.
shit, it's kind of a.
Have you've seen
step
Queen's
up.
Gambit?
First couple episodes. I haven't seen the whole thing.
You
yet.
haven't seen the whole thing?
No.
He's pretty good in that. I like him in that.
Oh, he's in that too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he plays one of the chess players that she beats.
Ooh,
But he's in multiple episodes.
So he's a rival chess player.
Yeah, and but yeah, I mean, I think he's really good.
Cool.
And he's been in some decent roles. So
Yeah.
and again, I mean, even in this role, even though his voice was or his accent maybe, he was still. I wasn't looking at him thinking Dudley. So
Yeah, I wasn't either. Well, it helps to weigh 100 pounds less than you weighed when you were Dudley.
Yeah.
Yeah. Jesus.
well, when you grow tall and you lose the baby fat.
Yeah. Well, did you notice how there was no fat on his face? It was like a skeleton.
Mm-hmm.
Like his cheekbones, and it was like, geez.
Yeah, which I wonder if part of that was makeup because with his hair and everything, I think they did a pretty good job. I mean, I could see why they picked him to play Poe. He looked like Poe.
Right. So, do you think this is like meant to be like a Edgar Allan Poe origin story, fictional origin story?
No, what I thought until
Yeah.
the very end of the investigation, I thought it was going to be an Augustus Lander story, and then maybe, but because I didn't research the books. I didn't know if it was
Yeah.
just a one-off book or if it was like a series of books with this character.
Yeah.
I don't think it was going to be a Poe thing to where, I'm going to go and solve mysteries kind of shit.
Put is like a Sherlock Holmes kind of thing.
Yeah, because I did a little bit of research on Edgar Allan Poe. I mean, I read a couple of his things, but I was aware he went to West Point, but I think he enjoyed he'd write to newspapers and ask for people to send in puzzles, and because he was really into cryptography, and so then he'd solve riddles and puzzles and shit. So maybe that's the sequel, is him just sitting in his house and
a new Sudoku.
that'll open up the
Wordle.
the Poe universe.
Yeah.
Words with friends.
Gets transported to the 21st century.
Yeah, because who I was wondering why would they choose Edgar Allan Poe?
It'd have
I
to
mean,
be a book
most
thing.
people have read one thing, The Raven. That's it.
Yeah.
They don't know anything else for the most part.
Yeah, I've read Pit and the Pendulum and Telltale Heart. And,
Oh, yeah, I've read that.
Maybe one other thing.
Well, he's written a shit ton of things, and I've read 3 things
Yeah.
that he's done.
I don't know why. I don't know. And again, I don't know if it's something that lent itself more to being written about.
Mm-hmm.
As far as a book, because I mean, maybe the author had just really liked Poe or something like
Yeah.
that. I wanted to have some kind of allusions to his work and everything
Yeah.
else, or maybe give some kind of fake history as far as, maybe that's how he got this idea, kind of a thing.
Yeah.
But,
Well, and to be fair, I don't think this movie was greenlit because the studios were like, we got to have a movie about Edgar Allan Poe.
yeah, no.
It was just a mystery that Christian Bale signed on for.
Mm-hmm.
So he said, sure.
Yep. And maybe it was just, and it could have been a story that Scott Cooper, because Scott Cooper wrote it. And it could have just been something he read and was really into and always thought would be fun to adapt into a movie.
Yeah. It's true, too. All English actors. What was that?
Except Gillian Anderson and Robert Duvall.
Is it Gillian Anderson?
She's from Chicago. She lives on 5th Street. I check in on her every once in a while.
Do you?
Yeah, just a little bit.
He said that confidently.
Yeah, well, it's because I do it.
Because I do it all the time.
Restraining orders can't keep me away. I'm protecting her, damn it.
Oh, God. Yeah, she's from England, right? No, she's from Nashville.
I'll take you to her house tomorrow.
Damn. Yeah.
Yeah, overall, I recommend it.
I recommend it, too.
What would you say would be your favorite Scott Cooper
Ooh.
movie? Like if I was going to watch another one from this director.
Either Hostels or Black Mass.
Okay.
Hostels is really good.
That a Western?
Mm-hmm. Yep. But Black Mass is just, I mean, it's a good gangster movie. Johnny Depp's awesome in it.
Yeah.
He's really good.
I'll check one of those out. Probably Hostels. I feel like I'm watching 1883 right now, so I'm kind of leaning on a Western kick.
You're in the Western mood. Dude, Yellowstone, they got to up their game. I'm so fucking sick and tired of the Montana infomercials. If I get another 20-minute escapade of people wrangling cows and riding horses with no dialogue and
horsing around,
the fucking soundtrack, country artists that they're promoting, I'm gonna lose my mind. I need some plot development, something. It's killing me.
Yeah.
Fucking Montana infomercial for half the episode.
Season 5, right?
Yeah.
Now?
And then when they do get to the story, I'm like, thank you. That's a great scene. 5 minutes of awesomeness. And then it's back to the fucking infomercial.
Yeah, get those strapping men on those horses.
Dude, the move where like they're on the horse
and they
like,
go really
really
fast.
And they stop.
Yep.
And like the back legs.
They love that. They
love it. Oh, they're like jerking off to it.
Look at those muscles.
Oh,
look at the hindquarters.
Look how far they went. Oh, God, he went like 8 feet. Oh, I went 8.5 feet. That's a 9-footer right there.
Just kidding.
It's ridiculous. But that's what I've heard, though. 1883 is good. I heard the Harrison Ford one's pretty sweet.
Nope. Haven't gotten to that one yet because I have no idea what.
I think it's on Paramount Plus.
Yeah, I don't have that one. Not going to get it. I'll wait till Blu-ray and I'll buy it like I'm 80.
Like a man.
Like a man.
Yeah. You remember the days when you would actually, Girls Gone Wild, you would call the phone number. Jay would call the phone number.
I would.
And it would be mailed to his house like a man.
Yes.
Like an adult.
And I waited 6 to 8 weeks.
That's right.
I let the anticipation build.
That's right.
And then as soon as I got it, they released 4 more of them.
Exactly.
And I was back on the goddamn phone. So.
But no, Hostels you'll like. I think you'll like that one.
Okay. I'll probably check that out. Because I'll probably check it out this week along with what we'll be talking about next week.
Perfect. What will we be talking about next week?
Join us next time as we take a step back in time all the way to 1989 as we talk about Joe Dante's comedy thriller classic, The Burbs.
Yes.
So, which is, coincidentally, also out on Netflix. So,
streaming on Netflix, yeah.
If you haven't seen The Burbs, go watch it. And then come back and listen to the episode when we talk about The Burbs.
Right.
And we both, spoiler alert, we both enjoy this movie.
Yeah.
It's fun. It's one of those we watched a lot when we were kids.
Yes. Well, me and you, we talked about it. We want to do episodes where we kind of highlight movies that just don't get talked about at all, and they're very good.
Yep. Yeah, some older movies, older being anything older than 3 years old.
Yeah.
And, that just don't seem to get talked about a lot. Plus, something else we'll be doing this year is not only in addition to our top 5 episodes, but also episodes to where we'll explore a movie that we haven't seen and see if it's really that bad.
Yes.
So,
movies,
for example, like Twilight.
Right.
We haven't seen. But now that we're 10, 12 years after the fact, and you have everyone calm down and not really shitting on it as much.
Or at the very least talking about it.
Yeah, or talking about it, or being in the huge zeitgeist, I guess, of pop culture. We'll watch it for the first time, see if it's really that bad, or if it's just a mediocre movie, or if it's complete dog shit.
Right.
So, but that's just one example. But next week we're doing something we love:
The Burbs.
The Burbs. Tom Hanks, Bruce Dern, Corey Feldman,
Carrie Fisher.
Yep, Carrie Fisher.
Princess Leia, man.
Princess Leia.
Yeah.
Princess Leia.
She's hot,
married to Forrest Gump.
That's right.
But yeah, so that's next time. Yeah, she is a looker in this.
She's a
I think
looker.
she was only 28 in this.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Well, I looked it up. Tom Hanks was like 33.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, God, I'm older than Tom Hanks is in The Burbs.
I know.
Time is just slipping
that's
away.
what makes me feel old is when
yeah.
I'm like,
I'm older than the movie characters in the movies I grew up in.
Yep.
Damn it. Yeah. That's when time is slipping away, man.
Yeah, because I always turn to Christy and I'm like, do I look that old? Like, do I look older than that person? Like,
Yeah,
there'll be an
yeah.
actor in a show, and I'm like, do I look older than them? And she'll be like, no. And I'm like, because I'm like 4 years older than them, and they
Yeah.
look like they're mid-40s or
Right,
something.
right. I've noticed that in older movies or older
Yeah.
actors.
Or even now. It's just,
Yeah.
I don't know if it's because I have a baby face or I think I have a baby face to where, meanwhile, someone who's 20 probably looks at me and like, oh my God, I bet his balls are old and saggy.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you're right. Here they are.
Yeah.
And then I plop them on the table.
Like I was watching Die Hard and Bruce Willis was 34. And I'm like, I look younger than Bruce Willis in Die Hard, right? Nicole's like, well, yeah. Bruce Willis looks like an alcoholic.
Yeah.
A mid-40s alcoholic. I'm like, he's always looked like a mid-40s alcoholic. So maybe, yeah, he looked like a mid-40s alcoholic when he was in his 60s. So maybe that's the goal. Just look mid-40s alcoholic your whole life.
Probably. Then
Yeah.
you won't age.
Then you won't age.
I feel like he looks younger. He looked younger in like the late 90s, early 2000s than what he did in the...
And like Sixth Sense and stuff.
Yeah. Christian Bale was... Christian Bale. The hell? God bless it. James Bond.
Daniel Craig?
Daniel Craig was 38 when he did Casino Royale.
Really?
Of course, he has that English wrinkly face
Yeah.
that where he perpetually looks like he's 42.
It's very true.
So,
He took some steroids for that movie, so damn it.
had to have.
Had to have. Got jacked.
Yes.
All right. Let's talk about the Burbs next time, huh?
That's the Burbs next time. All right. Well, until next time.
Until next time, Jay.